What we'll talk about today, guys, is the mobile marketing. Mobile marketing is an important element because it doesn't matter how successful you are with your app, if nobody knows you exist, it's not going to get that far, right? So knowing how to deal with mobile marketing and what are the things to be aware of is really important. So, what are some of the things that we'd like to talk about today? Really, first and foremost, to get a bit used to glossaries as to what do some definitions mean when you read in the marketing material. The next one is looking at the app promotion. What are some of the opportunities to promote in the application of this mobile world, right? And then ultimately also learning as to how you can yourselves, once developing apps, can promote your app or own app to the world, right? The next one is looking at difficulties. What are some of the key challenges in mobile marketing and why? And then also then looking after opportunities that this mobile world brings to us. In general, mobile advertising platforms and why they're important, and also talking a little bit about some of the ad networks. So let's dive into it. One of the key things when it comes to mobile marketing is really starting with the key 4 points when it comes to mobile marketing. First and foremost, making sure that you're consistent with your brand, right? So making sure that whichever marketing material you develop for your app, then we need to make sure that that is consistent. So when people see different activities for your different apps, they know in the business that you're in, but also ultimately they don't get confused on products and services that you offer. Okay? The next one is to identify and have clear goals and targets. What is it you're trying to achieve? Okay? Making sure that you have a very clear idea as to what you are trying to get to with that marketing campaign that you're trying to run. And then of course, that follows up with very clear messages. Yeah, no chatting. Very clear messages, which then send a clear sort of indication as to what is the product, what is the service that you're offering in the marketplace. And then ultimately the fourth one is actively engaging with the audience and making sure you can collect as much feedback as you can to go back and improve your work. So then the next update is a lot more exciting than the existing one. Because ultimately, just like with any other website or digital application, mobile are no different. Mobile need consistent changes, consistent improvement, and of course, consistently need to be updated so then they work better. I'm sure you had some of those experiences when you really liked an app that you use in your daily basis, but then at some point they were not really keeping up with it, and so they were not building up things that you needed for the app, and they never fixed sort of like some of the bugs that the app had, and then at some point you deleted it and you were searching for another one. So really to be on top of things when it comes to the mobile world, you've got to be consistently reiterating what you're doing, and you do that by collecting as much feedback as you can. And you've noticed now, almost any app that you use, at some point they will want to hear feedback from you, right? There's that pop-up window that says, please like us or please rate us on the App Store or Play Store, because they really want to hear from you. Now, in general, they want to hear some very good messages, so then when other people tend to download the app, they'll see some good messages of yours, and that automatically means that those people are going to download, because more popular apps get downloaded more. And it's very unlikely for you to end up downloading an app that goes 0 reviews or very bad reviews. It's just not going to happen. So those apps will never have a chance, and that's why there's a really tough competition to ensure that we've got good reviews on the app that we have provided in the marketplace. So, what are some of the key things to be thinking in mind? Well, when you develop marketing material, especially for the mobile world, you need to be thinking about these features again. Remember we talked about features in was it third or fourth session in this module, where we have sort of given you an idea as to how important these features are and why do they need to be considering them when we develop mobile projects. Now, marketing is no different. Whatever you want to create for the mobile marketing purposes, you'll have to think about all the features that are embedded into the phone, that you can use them to your own benefit. Whether it's a GPS or the touch screen or the sensors, whatever it is, right? You need to try and make sure you can use them wisely. Now, you know, almost in every shopping center nowadays, as soon as you've activated your GPRS, you go in and then they will give you some ideas as to what are some of the stores that are offering sales and discounts and so on and so forth. And then also there's so many opportunities to get instant feedback from customers and ultimately get their attention, because that attention today is really valuable. When you have people's attention, you can have, you know, their credit card details too, if you do a very good job. So that's why you've got to have a process put in place that you are using these features not just to provide a better experience for the users using your application, but also to provide better and more effective marketing material, right? Because nowadays, with all of these features embedded into the phone, led by the 4G, high-speed, obviously, internet, which really changes the whole game, because nowadays you can allow people to view videos and things and have more like interactive sessions within your app by using 4G connection. Okay? Now, in addition to that, you've got also Bluetooth almost built up in every phone nowadays, which enables you to either use maybe some opportunities to connect to different devices you're using around yourself, whether that's your car info systems or your other headphone devices as well, or maybe using any other third-party technology built into that shopping experience of yours. So, how does it work and how do you do well in the App Store when it comes to mobile marketing? Well, first and foremost, your app needs to have a catchy name, and that is how people mostly remember you for, right? If your app has got just like a name like other thousands of apps out there, really is going to be very hard to stand out. Now, there have been lots and lots of companies who had existing apps with a very simple branding, not very unique terms used in the brand. They went back and redesigned and changed the complete thing, the branding and the app and the experience and everything else. So having the catchy name is really, really important. Simply because, how many apps do we have in the App Store nowadays? Over 1 million apps. Million apps. How do you stand out? It's a real challenge. You might have the most exciting, the most relevant, and the most useful app in the marketplace. But if nobody knows about it, you're not going to get anywhere. And of course, how do you stand out from the crowd out there? These are some of the techniques suggested by some of the scholars and some of the research. The next one is making sure that you're good for search engine. What? You've got a very good optimized app, right? Now this is something that you will read at your own time to get more details. But again, we talked about mobile SEO, mobile search engine optimization. Or making sure that the app that is developed is following specific standards that are recommended out there for app development. Include brand name. So in general, it's a very good idea to have brand name of your company in the app, because otherwise you're missing the opportunity to connect and again build up a brand consistency. So then when somebody moves from your website to the actual application, they know that they are into your business work. And the other thing that we can do quite a lot to be able to learn more about things when it comes to the App Store is to actually do a bit of research. Competitive research is very, very important. And that's going to be probably one of the most popular tasks you will be asked to do in your placement. Well, you finish your placement, but also in your first graduate job out there. So they will want you to make sure that you actually go and get a really clear idea, right? as to what is that you're trying to achieve, and ultimately how this is going to help with the app development. So they'll be using your reports, they'll be using your data, they'll be using your info to feed into the development team. And the development team are those guys who will sit and develop the code. They're not going to, in general, they're not going to think outside the box too much. They expect guidelines on what needs to be done. They'll sit down, they'll do the work, and they make sure that that work is very well tailored to what you requested them for. And then with the design team, things are embedded together before the app is ready for launch or submission into the App Store. And then ultimately that store competitor analysis gives you some ideas as to who you're competing against, what are the features they're offering, what are some of the things they're really, really good at, what are the things that they're really struggling, what are the reviews, what are people saying about those specific competitors that you've got in the App Store, and ultimately how they are presented in there. What is the description, how they describe the app, what are some of the screenshots and images that they presented, right? And how do you improve that? How do you learn from all of those things that you looked into for several types of competitors to come up with your report? And ultimately, once you've done all of that, you've learned quite a lot, so you can start to modify your existing app, or you can start to modify your existing project specification for a new app before you go ahead and implement it. So again, research is a key word there. Research is everywhere. Research is going to inform us on how and what do we need to do to improve our mobile presence. Now, the iPhone app distribution by price, just to give you an idea as to how the apps are distributed by price, and just to get, have a more understanding as to where do we stand when it comes to the pricing. Of course, most of the apps are free. In general, most of the apps are free, but however, those free apps are doing what? They are either promoting a company or getting some money from the advertising. So in-app advertising brings them some money, but at the same time, they are apps that might be tailored to solely promote a business that they have been built from. So, what are some of the things to be thinking about? Well, first and foremost, the app should be submitted to review sites. So once the app has been developed and hopefully accepted in the App Store, remember, this is a very complicated process because Apple is very, very strict who they let in, and they've got very strict guidelines as to what you need to do to be able to get your app accepted. And again, sometimes some very, very brilliant apps don't get through because if you do not tick all the boxes that they have created for you, it's not going to get through. So you need to make sure that once the app is in and has been accepted by the App Store, that app should be submitted to the app review sites. Now, nowadays, we don't just look at what people are saying about specific apps in the App Store. Sometimes we look at other websites as well and see what those websites are saying about those specific apps that we're about to use. Now, in general, the quickest way to get that understanding is by going to the App Store. But specifically when you're about to maybe buy more expensive apps, you're very likely going to go and check what are people saying about those apps somewhere else. Provide a promo code. So especially if you're a first-time developer or if you started for the first time in your business app, you've got to make sure that you provide a promo code, right? Or you provide a free app for a certain amount of time, right? Or like a light version, just to give people a flavor as to what you're trying to offer in the marketplace. Because it's so competitive, and when you think about millions of apps out there, and if even a small percentage of those apps compete with you, then you're still talking about hundreds of thousands of apps to compete with. And that's really, really hard. So standing out becomes really challenging. Then of course, some of the app review sites that normally are used when it comes to the mobile applications are all in there. And you start to look into those. In fact, it's probably a good idea to browse around and read around those mobile app review sites, just to get an idea as to how some of these things work, and also why it's important to get a better understanding when it comes to reviews. Reviews have never been more powerful than nowadays. Not just for the app, but everything. Whether you shop for food, shop for clothing, and shop for apps, buying apps, reviews are fundamental. And that's why almost every single website is taking things seriously and verifying every single review. Because sometimes people ended up saying bad things for products that happen to actually purchase themselves, right? So verified reviews are sort of like, it's helping how to clear sort of a bit of a mess and fake reviews out there. What are some of the key challenges that in general we face when it comes to the apps? And that's the question I'd like to ask you now. Why do you think some of the businesses that have built some really interesting apps are struggling the most? Why do you think some businesses that have built up apps, you think they are useful, you've used them, but are struggling with them? Yes?
Is it because other things are already developed and are already marketed ahead of them? So quite a lot of people will stick to what they're used to instead of just changing over, unless they've got a real good enough reason to do it.
Yeah.
Basically.
So these guys are probably just following the crowd, but they're not really creating anything new.
Yeah.
Good point, thank you. Anyone else? Why do you think those guys struggle? Again, your business hat on, think about this. Because it might be your next task. It could be your first project. Or it could be a company that's saying, look, we've got mobile website, we've got a very decent website, but we want really an app. Go ahead, do the research, and tell us what our competitors struggling with and how we can win over. So you'll go ahead and do some research, but then try to find out what's happening. So what do you think are some of those challenges? Very good point mentioned out there. Just following the crowd, but not really thinking creatively to come up with something new. Anything else? Or another question. If you were to be asked on best ways to promote an app, what would you do? Your boss said, look, thank you for helping us out to do the research. The app is finished and done. App Store has accepted it. How do we tell the world that we exist? What do we do? What are some of the approaches that you would take to get through this news, this exciting news to your audience? Yes?
I'd hold a weekly competition.
And
I'd give away something every week. So I'd give away an iPhone with my app installed every week. For instance, if I was a company, I'd make sure it was every time I hit a certain amount of subscribers. So I'd say top 50,000 subscribers will be entered into a raffle draw to win an iPhone and an iWatch, and then I'd give them out, and then every other 50,000. So basically, I'd be getting paid off the amount of adverts and subscriptions to the app when they've got the iPhone, because it'd be already installed. So I'd know there was a certain amount of users using my app, so I'd encourage them. And then obviously, when people win, they're going to obviously talk to other people and say, well, where'd you get that from? Well, I won it off this. So it's a brand name, but some people haven't got the money for it.
Activity rather than good one. Next, what would you do? Come on, this is a real challenge. What would you do? You know that if you're going to do well with this, you'll have your job for a bit more. Nowadays, you've got to prove you're good. Talking, without having very good ideas, well researched and justified is not going to help. So what would you do? What would be your first thing you'd think about to say to your boss? Yeah, I've got these things that I've been researching around in the wild, and I'd like to try out some of these. What would they be? Yes?
Maybe for all the comparison
Okay, so you would compare your app with competitors' app, and what, do that on a
Compare the
YouTube
most
video?
popular one, but it's the same type of app.
Okay.
There's some competitive advantage.
Okay,
Over the comparison.
okay, good one. Thank you. Anyone else? How would you do this?
You keep it necessary.
What?
You got to make it difficult on the apps. You got to like widen the tutorial.
I didn't hear.
You got to make it necessary to widen audience instead of like picking the names. You say global group of people and try to make it nice and big and wide audience.
How would you do that?
Advertising and just give it something more special.
So again, not following the crowd. What else? Hmm?
Say USB.
Any selling points? What else? Yes?
Get influential YouTube stars to
Very
review
good,
it
yes.
against other apps that they seem to use currently.
Mm-hmm.
So then if they do find it as it comes out on top, then naturally I should hope that they would promote it. Or if they're doing a review against another app and it does come out better, then obviously they're promoting it to their fans. And if they get millions of streams, then you get attention basically.
Okay, thank you. Very good point. Let's keep going. Now, direct marketing with mobile apps. So what are some of the ways to sort of like ensure that we can get some of that promotion out? Well, the reason why we do that is because in general it can be cost effective, it's scalable, you can target to as many people and specific people as you like, it's personable, you can share anytime you like at the specific times, but also making sure that you've got a very clear idea as to where you want to get to. It's flexible, and most important, it's very interactive, so that's what gives the excitement to the mobile world. Immediate, so you can just start it straight away. You can measure anything that you do because it's digital. And everything that is digital is exciting because you can measure it as much as you like. Effective, of course, actionable. It is really driven through the actionable types of goals that you might have got or ideas. And you can actually repeat most of these things that you do with your direct marketing with mobile. Now, in-app advertising, you can target age, gender, place, location, device, and handset. And of course, there are several types of software tools and applications that allow you to do that and platforms. Those are the ones out there that you will probably end up using them if you get involved with any type of research project when it comes to mobile advertising. Now again, in-app advertising, it is proving to be super profitable. Now if more than 30% of the advertising revenues in Facebook is coming from mobile in-app advertising, then you start to see why lots of other companies are focusing on that. What are some other ways to sort of ensure that you tell the world that you exist using different type of channels? Well, of course, first and foremost, think about customer touch points like invoices. You know, actually making sure that within your invoice you've got somewhere a notice where you tell the audience that you are about to launch, if you're already launched a mobile app, and all you have to do is they have to go to App Store and then download it. In fact, what you can also do is that you can offer them a discount within that invoice. So that when they go to the App Store, they use that discount and then they can download it either freely or cheaper. Question and answers, especially on Yahoo and Wiki Answers. LinkedIn has killed the answers now, the Q&A session will and also feature on their website. But actually Yahoo Answers are very popular. So sometimes when you search for something online, actually Yahoo comes quite high. But in addition to that, you can get people to talk about your app in Yahoo. And in addition to that, what you can then do is that use the newsletter, direct it to your own audience, and tell them that your app is being published in the App Store, or App Store has already accepted it. Here's the link to have a look at them, and these are the benefits, and this is why you should download it. Pricing strategy, again, you can start with pricing from maybe $4.99 to $0.99 for a 3-day promotion. So you can say if you buy the app in the next 2 weeks, of the launch, you can get 50% discount, or you will only be paying 99p instead of paying £5, something like that. Walk through the presentation, slide share, and script is also very, very important. So nowadays, well, slide share actually bringing lots and lots of traffic to the website, whereby it's a more visual way of talking and reviewing applications, and then of course presenting that online. Tell a friend in-app features. You can actually now, you start to see lots of apps are using this feature where they're saying, okay, very quickly, tell your friends that you're using it, right? Either sign in with your Facebook account, which is the quickest way for them to send this link to your app to thousands of friends of yours, especially if you're very popular online. Twitter in-app features as well. You can actually have features in the app of Twitter to ensure that those new apps are being shared. Social power, so making sure that social media is used to share as much as you can within your communities. Search directories online, from Google to Yahoo to Bing and others, where you submit your actual link to the app. Blogs, you can actually get bloggers to review your app as well. You can get bloggers and you can pay them for it. You can say to them, I'll pay you to review my app. And you can be as honest as you like, and I don't have an issue with that. But I want you to review my app because you've got thousands of readers every month. And your readers are youngsters between 18 and 25. And that's exactly what I'm looking for. Then a Facebook fan page. You can set up a Facebook fan page for the actual app. Which means that you're telling people how to use the app, how to benefit from it, and also engaging with them on all the questions they have. Showcase app in review websites, and we talked about this earlier. YouTube videos, it was mentioned earlier. How to get those YouTube stars to review the app. Now, YouTube stars with hundreds of thousands of even millions of subscribers reviewing your app, you've already done it, right? That could spike your downloads of the apps in the App Store very, very quickly. Paid search. Now, paid search is still there, it's being used. You can use either PPC advertising on Yahoo or AdWords, or even live search. Promotional terms. Well, you can do that, or also identify specific items with your app in there that you can give it for free. You can give free t-shirts with your app and the link to download it. Or you can offer mugs or all sorts of things, right? And you can actually attend conferences where you can, give away these free items to tell the world that you are launching something pretty big. Opt-in SMS messages, campaigns. You can actually get people to sign up for a campaign, and then you will just send bulk messages to everyone once your app is developed. Now, sometimes the very best practice is to develop an audience that really like what you're talking about online, whether it's a blog or a YouTube or anything like that, and then heat the whole sort of discussion up before the app is being launched. And when the app is launched, you can say to exactly the same audience, you've been reading my stuff, you've been engaging with me, and I think you'll like this app. Here's the link to download it. The promotion as well is quite important to do that, is promoting relevant content out there. And of course, last but not least is the app launch party, where you can actually have a more traditional way of organizing a party to launch the app, where you can either give the apps for free out, or maybe get people to sign up and share the app in return for a free item or something like that. Making apps easy to share. Now, of course, sometimes some of the things that websites miss the most is actually making it very easy for people to share things online. And of course, that's an important element to keep in mind. Types of mobile advertising. There are several types of mobile advertising. Mobile banners, of course, are almost everywhere now, but they are changing. They are changing simply because they are other ways of advertising are being introduced. Nowadays you see that as you're playing a favorite game, the free favorite game that you're playing, the pop-up window comes not just with the actual offer, but with the video as well. You have to either go and, view it for 2 seconds before you can get rid of it, or sometimes it offers you another features within the app that you can buy, or other apps of the same company that you can go ahead and buy. So it's been evolved quite a lot, and the banner ads are just the successful way to get started, but of course not the only way to do that. And of course, cost per 1,000 impressions is just a nice way to get an understanding as to how long will it take to get the impressions when it comes to the mobile app. Now, impressions mean that just someone has seen the app, doesn't mean that they've gone and downloaded it. It doesn't actually mean they went and reviewed it, okay? But it just says that this is the amount of people that actually bought it. And in general, you'll be paying for cost per 1,000 views. In other words, unless App Store and Play Store can offer this to the audience, to the companies, they won't be using it. Unless you can say to them, until you reach out 1,000 people that have viewed, that have seen the app of yours, you will not be paying for it. Mobile pay-per-click advertising is still very powerful, and again, it's something that cannot be ignored. It's a super powerful channel to let the world that you exist by giving some of your marketing budget to either Google, Yahoo, or Microsoft. Now, some of the effective mobile ad campaigns should have some of the following components. Without a doubt, they've got to be creative. They've got to be creative apps, because creative apps will engage more people. There needs to be a landing page where people can go read more about the app, get a better understanding as to what the app is about, and ultimately click through to get to the App Store to download the app. The targeting. So you need to be very clear as to who you're targeting your app to. Are you identifying a specific target audience, or are you messing things up in the way? And which means that sometimes you might be getting wrong type of audience to your website or to the App Store where you've got the app. And the evaluation of success, you've got to be able to get it very quickly to learn what are some of those specific features that are driving the success of your app. Contextual mobile apps, of course, they are related to specific types of app on the actual experience that you're having while you're searching on the App Store somewhere around in the app. So in other words, are these banner ads that are related to what you're searching at that moment in time? So in this case, if you're searching for car insurance, you'll have a direct line sort of ad in there, banner ad showing up to you. Or if you're looking for other loan companies, then one guy will be showing, another company will be showing in there. So very much types of ads that are relevant to your actual search at that specific moment in time. And that's really important, because in the past, not long from now, you were searching for something and totally different sort of banner ads was shown to you. Which means that all those companies that paid for those banner ads to be showed up, they're just wasting their money, because that ad wasn't relevant to what I was trying to do at the specific moment in time. What we call idle screen ads. So why give people to wait for the page to load, or for the next thing to come along, whether it's on a mobile version of the website or a mobile application? There's always an opportunity to show up something, and a website, a company that does extremely well in this is lastminute.com. So while you're waiting for something, they'll give you something pretty cool to look into, or maybe an offer or something else for you to explore. Now, the most popular mobile app networks, definitely, of course, Google runs throughout some of the most popular platforms with AdMob. Apple has actually killed the iAd, and of course they have their own more integrated application for advertising as well. Yahoo advertising solution is there. There are several others, but these are some of the most used ones in the marketplace. Now, mobile analytics, what they do, they really tell us what is that we're doing really well with an app, and what are the things that we're struggling with. And again, the only way to learn how well we're doing with our application is to look at the stats, look at the data, look at the metrics. So those metrics are the things that give us some indications as to where we are with the app. How many people are using it? What are they doing when they download it? And what are the things that they're complaining mostly about? And mobile analytics help us do just that. But of course, we need to make sure that we cover and we measure what matters the most. We don't just measure everything for what matters to us. Some of the most popular ones out there are Mobalytics, Google Analytics, Flurry, ComScore. Some of these ones are very, very expensive, but of course Google Analytics is for free, and some others that you can use to track how well you're doing with your mobile presence.